Hi, I'm DuEwa Frazier, and you're listening to episode 12 of Nerdacity podcast. Today, my guest is Mia Wenjen. Mia blogs on parenting, children's books, and education at pragmaticmom.com. And she is the co-creator of Multicultural Children's Book Day, a nonprofit celebrating diversity in children's books. Mia is the co-author of 2 books with Alison Foley, How to Coach Girls, a primer on how to keep girls in sports for coaches, and the ELUSIVE Full Ride Scholarship, an insider's guide. Her debut picture book, SUMO JOE, is illustrated by Nat Iwata and published by Lee & Low. Scholastic is the publisher for her middle grade anthology, Asian Pacific American Heroes. To find the best diverse books, she wrote Best #Own Voices Children's Books, My Favorite Diversity Books for Kids ages 1 to 12, published by Audrey Press. Mia is also the co-founder of Aquent, the world's largest company staffing creative, digital, and marketing talent with 37 offices around the world. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, Mia. How are you?
Hi, DuEwa. Great. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. I know you are very busy, especially in this season, and we're going to talk about Multicultural Children's Book Day.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. And so, Mia, I am familiar with Multicultural Children's Book Day from being an author sponsor, and you guys do a wonderful job of promoting books and promoting publishers and authors. And so please tell me, as you are one of the co-founders, how did you get started with this initiative and what has been your primary purpose?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being an author sponsor for all these years. We really rely on support like that, and it's really a boon to us. So thank you. What happened was about 10 years ago, I started blogging at Pragmatic Mom. And, sort of within my first year or two, I did like Chinese American children's books, Japanese American, Korean American, because my kids are half Korean and a quarter Japanese and a quarter Chinese. And I noticed those lists were really popular. And so, I just started blogging on children's books. And then maybe about a year and a half into blogging, so maybe 8.5 years ago, I saw this study by Lee & Low, which is a publishing company. And they had done the research, and they said that the number of diverse children's books published was a mere 6%. And that the number had not changed in 14 years. And I was thinking, wow, look at all these, Asian characters. When I grew up, I never saw myself in a children's book, in a chapter book, a middle grade picture book. I never saw myself. So I thought we were doing pretty well. But that statistic just blew my mind. And so I posted on my Facebook and Twitter, and I said, I saw the statistic, and I've decided I'm going to focus my blog now on uplifting the voices of diverse book creators because, it's appalling. And then Valerie Boudère, who was blogging at Jump Into a Book, which was a blog that did a lot of book-related activities around the book, kind of like a book club.
Yeah.
She saw my post, and then she reached out to me, and she said, let's talk. So we get on the phone, and we both agree. Valerie is a daughter of Swedish immigrants. She speaks 5 languages, including Arabic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. Swedish, Arabic. She's very multicultural, the way they live at home. And she said, hey, why don't we start our own holiday? And I was like, what? Can you do that? Like, how does that work? And she's like, yes, we just need to pick a day. And so maybe that was like maybe early spring. So we said, oh, well, let's figure out a date. And we kind of came on the end of January, just because it gave us enough ramp time to kind of organize something. And the holidays were over. And then we sort of used our background as bloggers to kind of do things the way bloggers were doing things. Like we got co-hosts, which were all like education bloggers and children's book bloggers. And we used a big giant Linky, which is a way to, put everyone's posts in in one place. And our idea was that we would ask publishers and authors and illustrators, if they want to donate their books, and then we would get bloggers, children's book bloggers who, that was sort of our group, to review the books. And then we would all post them on that one day, and we'd have a Twitter party, and it would be a way to just get, get the books out there. Because we felt that, there are, even though the number 6% is low, the bigger issue is that nobody knows about these books. And the questions that we were getting as bloggers were, but what are the good books? Which books are good? And so we were like, this way everyone would see the reviews, and also the books, because they're donated, is opportunity to give, readers, adults and children, free books. So we did that, and we sold sponsorships, and it went pretty well. And then I would say a couple years doing this, just because a lot of the co-sponsors were, big time bloggers with huge social media networks, that we were like, whoa, like let's track the social media share impressions, across all the platforms. And we were literally getting like over 1 billion social media share impressions, in the 3 days, the day before, the day of, and the day after. Just in those 3 days, we got like over, 1 billion social media shares. And then we're like, we just need to tell, authors and potential sponsors that, we are actually, generating a lot of, media attention for these books. And it kind of grew from there. And in fact, 2020, when Trump was first, 2016, when Trump was first inaugurated into office, we were all feeling very stressed.
Yeah.
And on our Twitter party that night, at the time, I think it was January 27th. It was a Friday.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Our party was at 9 p.m. Trump had just like issued sort of like an anti-Muslim ban, and the airports in New York had shut down. And I think people were so upset that we got a lot of attention to our Twitter party, because it was sort of this way of like teaching kids about empathy. And I mean, I think our free classroom kit was around immigration and refugee experience that year. And we literally trended on Twitter above Muslim ban. It was crazy.
That's phenomenal. And so it sounds like Multicultural Children's Book Day has gone beyond just books. This is like outreach, social justice, social awareness of issues that are impacting our society and our world.
Yeah, I mean, and we also just hope just to be, a resource, and of not just, what are the best books, but also to be able to distribute books for free for the teachers and the librarians and the adults and students who need them most.
Yeah.
So that's sort of our what we started doing as the years went on. We started a classroom gift program where we just had teachers sign up and let us know what grade book they were seeking. And then we would sort of take whatever money we had left over, and then we would take the donated books and we use the money for postage and handling and send books, 1 book per teacher, trying to get a couple hundred books out per year. And then it grew into, like, hey, let's, teachers and librarians were doing classroom celebrations. So we said teachers can sign up for what we call an offline, a book package, where we send a couple of diverse children's books, and we send swag. We send like enough magnets for a class, for anyone who wants to host an event the last week of January. I mean, yeah, we were sort of trying to figure out what do people need and what resources can we create given that we're just like 4 people who do it part-time.
Wow. And I would think that, and you guys, you mentioned about people, there were books, but people not knowing about them per se. Can you talk about the impact for authors? What has been the feedback that authors have given you about how you're able to promote their books, their works?
Well, I think a lot of times, like, the feedback we'll get is that, like the reader is, generally looking for something specific, you know what I mean? Like maybe the best book on, a particular holiday, or, something to get their kid reading of a certain age in a certain genre. And so I think just by providing resources of, because we basically curate the book list that we put on our resource. And so these are all the book bloggers that we know who read all the books. And then it's not an Amazon, publisher write-up that they do.
Right.
Actually, they read it with their children, and they give their honest opinion, of books. And usually to the list will give options, it will be a specific list, and it will give different options, either, a bunch of titles with reviews, but also maybe different age groups. And I think I think just to, for authors and for publishers, just to be sort of in an organized, be able to be found in an organized way.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I mean? Because it's like, like you search, whatever you search, like if you search Google, like our list will come up, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you're searching Amazon, sometimes like you don't know like which is the best book. And here you have sort of a trusted resource because, these might be children's book bloggers and educators that you already follow. But, like, for example, like my blog, I have 2,300 posts. Yeah. And my search function on my blog is not the greatest. And so it might be a little bit hard to find what you're looking for on my blog. And so going to the resource at Multicultural Children's Book Day, this giant book list, it's just much easier because you can find it by country, by holiday, by genre, by topic. And so, it's, it's just a way to kind of
streamline the process, it sounds like.
Right. And then we can update the list. Like I update my list. And so like as new books come out, per list, like you'll kind of see, the best books in that, like for example, my Holocaust list, I literally try to put every single book ever published on the Holocaust.
Wow.
And it started off as 10, and now I think it's like, I don't know, like it's literally over 150 books. Like, yeah. So.
Well, that's wonderful, Mia. And, I was thinking about the great aspect of this initiative in that you, Multicultural Children's Book Day includes independent authors, some self-published authors in terms of being author sponsors, and that they can get some promotions and marketing for their work as well if they're not agented. Can you talk to me about that and your decision to include authors that may not be agented or with a traditional publisher?
Sure. Honestly, I think that every single person has a book inside them, and it's just a long road to get traditionally published that also requires financial resources, and like you sometimes, like a lot of the people, don't work outside the home, so they're able to write as a full-time job. You know what I mean? Whereas a lot of the people I think who are independently published, it's just like they're not getting the marketing support, because they're just their own, they're just their own person.
Yeah.
But everyone has like an important story to tell because they literally went through this process to get self-published, which is its own, giant animal. And we feel all voices are important, and especially these are diverse voices. The books, the authors and illustrators, the self-published books that come our way, they've all been vetted for quality, and we also have strict criteria of what we consider to be a diverse book. And so it's just our way of, like evening up the playing field a little bit,
Yeah.
So just because they don't have a large publisher with a budget, to promote their book, like they deserve the same attention, and they deserve to find their audience. And if we can help in that way, I mean, sort of like that's like, it's our pleasure to do that,
Yeah. And that's wonderful. And that's really one reason why I really wanted to be in the network of Multicultural Children's Book Day, to see that this has grown so much from year to year to year. And can you talk to me about social media and how, because I'm sure when you first started, I don't think there was an Instagram, or maybe there was Twitter, but now we have Instagram, and so many other things are popular now. Can you talk to me about how social media has helped the outreach of Multicultural Children's Book Day and how you use it?
Sure. I mean, we literally started just with Twitter, and we had a Facebook page, and Instagram, as you said correctly. Yes, it didn't even exist, and we were a little bit slow to get on Instagram, to be honest, just because, we just we're literally 4 people, and we just really literally couldn't wrap our head around adding one more platform.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? And we do have a Pinterest board. We decided not to do our own Pinterest account, because it was just very hard to get Pinterest followers, I noticed. And I had grown my own board, my own Pinterest account to over 135,000.
Wow.
So I just put the multicultural Pinterest. I just made a board specifically for our holiday,
right,
which is multicultural books for kids, on my own Pinterest board, just to kind of, just make it more efficient. Sure. and easier.
You had a built-in, it sounds like you had a built-in wide network already.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we do have our own Twitter account, our own Facebook, and then we started our own Instagram. And, we've been thrilled also, because one way to measure participation is just to see those groups grow. And our Instagram now, I think it's up to, I have to look actually, because I know we were woohoo, the Instagram was
really growing, right?
Yeah, I think it was is it 15,000?
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I have to look. I think the Twitter is 12,000, and the Facebook group just keeps growing. And now we're starting to think about sort of more live, Facebook Live, and then saving it to YouTube. Instagram Live. I know Becky just started a Friday chat group.
Oh wow.
That's Facebook Live, and then she's saving it. And we're in the process of uploading it to making a YouTube channel.
That's awesome. And people love that, because look at everything going on in the world today. People are looking for more positive news, entertainment, and information. And you guys adding the whole video component for books, it will be so great. I think for like you said, teachers, authors, readers, everyone.
Yeah, I just think having different media formats, just because people access it differently, or prefer different formats. But for us, it's always a balancing act, because we're tiny.
Yes, but you've made great headway. And then also, Mia, how about LinkedIn? Do you all use LinkedIn for your outreach as well?
I use LinkedIn, and then I'll post some of the some of the events. I'll redo what is on the Multicultural Children's Book Day blog and put it on my blog, and then I put it in LinkedIn. But I don't think we're doing it on LinkedIn otherwise. But that's a good idea. I just I probably should just share,
because
they
have the groups. Because they have the groups and all these.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, now you can post. Someone sent me, they're teaching. You got people teaching classes on there using PowerPoint or Google Slides, and I'm like, whoa, they're adding all kinds of features on LinkedIn now.
Okay, DuEwa, I'm literally adding it to my to-do list.
Awesome.
LinkedIn.
Yes.
Maybe 2021 goal.
Yes.
Multicultural Children's Book Day.
As if you need another thing on your plate.
I know. The thing is, like, we have this team of Becky Flansburgh and Susan, and they are just so amazing that, you know, they kind of streamline it every year, and it just goes very smoothly. And so it's sort of like adding one thing or one or two things per year actually is manageable because they just have got it down to a science. So we're lucky. So I'll definitely propose it because Susan, who does a lot of our social media, was the one who was pushing for more video, like Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube. So I'll tell her about LinkedIn and the groups, and maybe we can figure out a way to get the video there as a link as well.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. And so now, Mia, going back to readers, and you spoke about your own interests as a blogger mom, and with children who are reading and all of that. Can you talk now more about what is the value of multicultural books? As mentioned, books containing characters of color as well as main characters that represent a minority point of view, an author of diversity, and those kinds of things. Can you talk about why that's important to have and to promote?
Well, I mean, I just think, like, in the climate that we have today, it's so important just for all of us, and kids especially, to be exposed to all different kinds of people. And, you know, depending on where you live, you may not have that natural diversity in your schools or in your community. And so books are that magic bridge, you know, that teach us a different perspective. And through that, we learn empathy. And so I just feel like, you know, how do you teach people to be more tolerant, or how do you teach people about, you know, just about, you know, different diverse topics? And for me, like, if it isn't something that my kids were encountering, you know, in their own little, you know, world, you know, I would then search for a book, and we would read the book, and then we could just kind of, you know, casually talk about it. And it's amazing how those small teachable moments for kids discussing it with, you know, somebody, a peer or an adult, can really, you know, shift the way someone thinks. And I feel like we need more of that, not less of that, you know, as a country. Like, there just seems like there's so much division right now, that anything that builds bridges and teaches empathy, you know, is sort of, you know, like, we really need that.
Yes,
you know?
It's so needed. And thank you for, you know, explaining that. I think listeners will be, when they look you up, if they're already familiar with you, this is just an added bonus to really hear you talk about it. And so also, I know that you mentioned teachers. Can you talk about how you work with schools or educational organizations?
Sure. So we started, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 years ago. We had met with a teacher because we just happened to be at a sort of like a national, like, social studies convention, social study teachers convention. And we said, hey, what do you need? Like, would a book list with activities and a discussion guide, would that be helpful? Like, on a particular topic? And our teacher was like, oh my God, that would be so helpful. And so we started making these classroom kits. Our first one was kindness. And that was literally, you know, 2016. It came out of Kidlit safety pins. Jarrett Krasoska and I were on Twitter, and it just, you know, things were bad. And so we just decided, like, literally on the spot, like, let's make a classroom kit about kindness. Teachers can use it in the classroom. We'll make a book list. We'll make a list of all different kinds of activities. Some you can do in 5 minutes, some, you know, a longer term project, like a bulletin board. And then Jarrett volunteered to do a poster. And that's how the classroom kit was born, just out of this need of, like, panic, you know, like, we need to teach kids kindness. And so every year after that, we would pick a topic. Sometimes the topics would come out of our Twitter party, because we would ask our Twitter party participants, like, what kit do you think we should do next? So we did kindness, 2016. We did empathy after that, which is specifically on immigration and the refugee experience. We did poverty, because we wanted people to understand multi-generational poverty. And literally, like, it was so hard to find a single book on that. Not poverty per se, but like multi-generational poverty. We did physical and developmental challenges. I think that was last year. This year we did a homeschool classroom kit, as well as activism and activists. And so all the kits contain a book list, activities, discussion guide, and a poster specific to that topic, as well as the poster for that year. This year's poster is actually by Nat Iwata for Multicultural Children's Book Day. And I actually ended up doing the activists and activism poster myself, and that wasn't the plan, but the illustrator that we had lined up, just with COVID and the pandemic, it just like everyone's schedules got crazy.
Really crazy.
He was like, I have 2 kids at home. I'm taking care of my parents. I got these book deadlines. He was just like, I'm so sorry. There's just no way I can squeeze it in.
Wow.
And, and then I'm asking other illustrators, like a month before it's due. And they're like, I would love to do it another year, but like, it's crazy right now.
Yeah.
And so Valerie and Becky were like, you've been working on your art. Like, can you just do it? And I was like, I'm not that good, but like, you got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
So we do that for teachers. We also, as I mentioned, we have the free book program for their classroom library. We also have that offline program that I talked about, if they want to celebrate in the classroom. The teachers can also sign up to be reviewers. They can also tell all the parents of their students to sign up, and they can get free books that way.
Wow.
They just have to do a short review and then, add it to our Linky. I think that it's actually closed for this year, but like every single year, we have like a multi-month period to sign up. Yeah. And we're doing a new, I have a Own Voices, like, I have like a resource where I reviewed Own Voices diverse children's books, and I have it organized by category. It's just like book reviews of all my favorite books, and it's going to be free January 29th to February 2nd in celebration of Multicultural Children's Book Day. So that's on Amazon. It's just an ebook and it's free.
Oh, that's nice.
And we do a music video. Annie Bird Music created this wonderful song for us that she composed and sings, and her son Alex is a film major, and so they put together, so we use the music every year, and then we add different book photographs. And so this year they're doing it again, a new version for 2021, and it will feature all the author sponsors and medallion sponsors for us, and that should be out, I think, in about a week and a half.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And do you feel like the pandemic has affected your outreach, or you talked about schedules, your schedule, or even your writing for that matter?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I feel like the pandemic was like a creative space that went one way or the other. Either you could create in the space and you were really prolific, which was not me, or it was just like everything was so off. And I don't know, I just was like sort of upset about the state of things.
Yeah.
That I couldn't really get any like creative work done.
Like
blogging I could do, but like writing books, and even like working on my art. Because before I would do it at a local art school and I would just go in person. And for me, like the whole like online Zoom stuff, I just like, oh my God, I just need to be off Zoom. Like I was just, it just was too much.
It's a lot.
Everything was on Zoom. It was just too much.
Because you're already on social media and you're doing all of that. And now it's like, wow, it's looking like your whole life is about to be virtual.
Yeah, exactly. But I have to say, with the new year, I finally started writing and editing my own like manuscripts again.
Wow.
But, I mean, I literally wasn't able to. I was like, I had this whole plan. I was going to do, one picture book manuscript a month. And I was like on track until like April hit. And then just everything just like fell apart.
Yeah.
So. How
I
about you?
understand.
Are you finding it?
You know,
This
I ask, and it's a question that I've asked writers because me personally, I just finished a grad program in August, so I could not, the way all my friends were writing and producing books over the last 3 years, I was unable to. I was able to get out a children's book in 2019, but I had been working on that for 7 years, if you can believe it.
No, I believe it. I
So
do.
it's been, I will be honest, I have a few projects in the works. It has been a struggle for me to sit and write at length. I can do blogs, I can do the podcast, but there's something about, and I think you hit on that, the stress of it's in the air, it's in the environment. It has not, I have not, I'm still settling down from finishing a doctoral program. So mentally, I'm actually still recovering from that, if you can believe it.
Oh no, that's a lot. And congratulations on your PhD. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But I use whatever creativity I do. It's therapeutic. I mean, it's cathartic for me. Even talking to you and others on the podcast is very cathartic and very healing. And so I'm thinking of myself as, well, I may not be writing with a pen and paper or on my laptop, but I'm writing in the sense of I'm communicating with others who are creative. And that's another form of inspiration to me.
Yeah, I feel like it caused a shift. And literally, honestly, the only way I started getting back into writing and editing manuscripts was, one, I had sort of a deadline. But two, it was just, this is so weird. I started knitting. Like, I'm not a very good knitter, but I started knitting.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of got me off social media, which also kind of stressed me out, like every day, going over current events. And I think just because it's kind of meditative, your hands are moving, but then your mind is sort of floating around.
Yes.
And I feel like that actually, learning how to knit hats, because, I lost my hat. Yes. And I was like, oh my God, I need a winter hat. It's like cold here. That kind of put me back into the flow. So maybe podcasting for you is what knitting is to me, but it's like, it's a delicate state. I feel like, yes, being strong enough to be creative, that, before I used to I had this weird routine. I had to have everything up to date. Like, my email had to be cleaned out. I had to have 18 blog posts, like, in the queue. Yeah. Everything had to be caught up. And then with a clean desk, I could then, get to the manuscript, right. Which is a little bit weird, but like, I was just, maybe also my procrastination technique. But, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the whole pandemic and situation is, I guess we all just had to shift some kind of coping mechanism.
True. But it sounds like it has not really impacted in a negative way, or in a, the whole space of it has not impacted the Multicultural Children's Book Day, because you guys are still, almost to the day it's happening, or within a few days it's happening every year annually. People can count on this.
I credit to Becky and Susan 100%. They are just like the rock of our holiday. Because I literally, I usually do a Read Your World book jam that I do with the Children's Book Council. And I completely forgot to communicate with them in time to set it up. So I was like, oops. Like, I was like, I just remembered, Becky, and it's November. So it's way too late.
Whoa.
And she was like, that's okay. We can do different things, like, because, we don't meet that often. So a lot of times when we meet, it jogs my memory. And she was like, because because what she did, she launched a Giving Tuesday program. So we never really participated in Giving Tuesday, but we did this year, sort of full force, to get more support for the classroom, teachers gift program.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I see that on your website as well, with a nice video too. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's all Becky. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah, she's good with a lot of the social media. I see Becky a lot.
Yeah. And Susan, you don't notice all the work she does, but she actually.
Now, what's Susan's last name?
I'm like so bad with.
Is she the one on your Instagram, the Multicultural Books Instagram?
Susan Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her company is Reduce the Chaos.
Oh, okay.
And so she's been with us for a long time. Like, I would have to say, like, at least 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then over time, she's like a whiz at like Excel and like I'm so bad at MailChimp, and like she is so good at MailChimp.
Wow.
So she does the newsletter. But then over time, we just like give her more and more. She's so competent.
And
now she does a lot of the, like when we get sponsors to queue up all the social media, the tweets, the Instagram images, the Instagram postings, she runs her Facebook group.
Oh, wow.
So we really benefit so much from having Susan help us.
It's wonderful to have the group. It sounds like each of you kind of have your own niche in how you take a part in getting this out to, the world, really.
Yeah, that's totally true. Like, you don't notice Valerie as much, but like, you know what? She runs all the money.
Yeah.
She files the taxes. I mean, everyone sort of just fell into the part that they did, like, just, like it wasn't even like who, like, here's the list, who wants to do what. It was just sort of, people just sort of did stuff.
Yeah.
And it just became their thing.
Yeah.
So it's great. And it's fun to meet with them, and it's just so seamless to work together. And I think that we're lucky, but it's also, nearly, like, I think it's nearly 9 years that we've been working together.
That's amazing. And so, how about, I have a few more questions for you, Mia, if that's okay.
Of course.
So also, how about libraries? Have you, especially pre-pandemic, work with any of the children's librarians or any literacy initiatives with the libraries?
So we only really, formally do it through the offline celebration, because it can be teachers or librarians. And then a lot of the all the resources also, I think some of the teachers, some of the librarians will like print out the posters or host an event, and put it up for the month of January. But other than that, I don't, we don't have a specific formal outreach,
Yeah.
Something to think about, though, clearly.
Yeah, for sure. And, I know there's some libraries, depending on what city, that have these different initiatives that they are really like, doing a drive where they're trying to get kid readers, doing book clubs and things like that. So that's why I asked that. I've done a few things with libraries where they were like, hey, we need someone to come in and facilitate book talk, or we need someone to come in and pull what the best books are, for this age group and do a little workshop, and I really thought about Multicultural Children's Book Day and that.
Oh, I mean, we would be happy to help out if any librarian wants to contact us for any kind of resource or help. We're always available, or you can contact me directly. I'm happy to point to our resources or point you to, authors, illustrators in your area that would be delighted to come. Unfortunately, like in my area, the libraries are still kind of, not really open.
Yeah.
So, but just like for the future, when things improve, we would be delighted to, help out in any way.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I'll certainly, when I do the promo for this, tag libraries and librarians, because I just think it's so important. And they're doing a lot of virtual stuff now too, some of the libraries.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so, Mia, can you see yourself doing, if you have not already, a nice TEDx talk about Multicultural Children's Book Day? I'm giving you an idea.
Oh, my to-do list is getting so long. I mean, what a great opportunity. If it ever fell my way, I would be delighted to.
Sure. Well, I think you guys expanding the YouTube and that, and people seeing you speak will certainly bring those kinds of opportunities, if it hasn't already, about for you. I'm really a proponent for that in any way you can, getting the word out. And, of course, even branding. It's branding for all of you, any of you, as your circle with Valerie and Susan and Rebecca. doing this kind of work. And so I think it's really wonderful what you all are doing.
Well, I'll put it out to the universe. If that opportunity ever came our way, we would be delighted to do it.
Certainly. And Mia, I'd like to also ask, is it closed for sponsors, particularly any authors who may be on my social media who are interested in sponsorship or doing some kind of collaboration with you? Is it too late to do that?
I have to check with Becky because I feel like the sponsorship deadline is very close, if not today might be the last day.
Okay.
But if anyone's interested, just go ahead and email Becky or the email on, and I think she can pull it off.
Okay. Because I want to put a little note on the promo on that. Authors, if you're interested, please reach out. And then I guess from there, whatever you all decide, because, I just think it's just wonderful. And as you mentioned, this may be on people's calendars, but because of everything going on, you almost forget some of your dates and deadlines with everything going on, the normal things that you might set up months in advance, because, everything going on right now is so distracting,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we actually, we encourage the sponsors to sign up as early as possible because we like promoting them for months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel a little bit badly when the sponsors come in January because we just feel like the window's a little shorter.
It's shorter.
We get a lot of social media, sharing in the entire month of January through about, I would say, the middle of February.
Yeah.
And we're sort of working to kind of keep the momentum going all year.
Okay.
But, typically it is, kind of culminates in our event at the end of January.
Yeah.
And so, we're always like, do it early because then we literally will promote you for months and months and months.
Yeah. I wish I would have got you on sooner, but the schedule as it was between the two of us, I guess, this was the time, but certainly would have had more leeway on that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, life is crazy. And
yeah.
I mean, you had a PhD. I mean, not sure what my excuse was, but
right.
yours is like certainly valid.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to have had you on, Mia. And so please tell me, I'm on the Multicultural Books Day website. You have a wonderful site here, but please tell us, where can we find the initiative, this Children's Book Day, this wonderful holiday for multicultural books, as well as how to follow you and Rebecca and where we can really support you, even through this whole pandemic and that we're all online. How can we best support you and follow you now?
Oh, thank you. So we're on Twitter, and you can find us for a Twitter party with #ReadYourWorld. That's the hashtag we use kind of for everything.
Good.
So we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All of that is Multicultural Children's Book Day. And they have, sort of different, like what it actually is. But if you go to our website, we have the links on there that will take you directly to the Facebook page and Instagram and the Pinterest particular board and the Twitter. And I we appreciate support, just getting the word out that we do have all these free book programs for kids and adults and teachers and librarians who are looking for free books of a diverse nature, just because, budgets are tight and not everyone has resources. And so if we can just get the word out, the easiest way is sign up to be a reviewer, which we'll have, in the fall, every fall, there'll be signups for like a couple of months. But then also for our Twitter party, which will be 9 p.m. On January 29th, like from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're giving away book bundles every 5 minutes.
Wow.
So we're talking about books, and every book bundle in celebration of our 8th event. So each book bundle will be at least 8 books.
Okay. Can I mention that on the promo?
And you don't have to, you can be an author or an illustrator and just join it just to, because there'll be time for you can mention your book, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or mention other books that you like. It's sort of like just, for people just to talk about, hey, here's a great book. Here's a great author. Here's a great illustrator I discovered.
Wow.
Here are things that we wish there was more of, which might give creators ideas. Like, I wish there were books on this topic.
And tell me what would be considered the Twitter party, right?
Yes, this is our Twitter party.
Okay.
So we'll have a link for people to pre-register, because it's easier for us to find you, to send you, your if you win a book package. But it's January 29th, which is a Friday. It's 9 p.m. And if you just use Read Your World, the hashtag Read Your World, you will find us.
Okay. That's wonderful. And I'm making a note of that so I can put that and add that in the promo that I'm going to post.
Great. And then we'll have the big giant linky, which will be on our homepage. So you'll see all the book reviews as they pour in. We usually have 800 or 900 reviewers. And then if people want to check out, which books they might be interested in and share those reviews on their social media, everyone appreciates that, especially the authors and illustrators. So we'll be sharing that on all our social media as well.
Wow, that's absolutely fantastic, Mia. Well, thank you so much, Mia, co-founder of Multicultural Children's Book Day, book blogger, author, and all-around fantastic literary promoter. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you guys on Twitter and joining in the fun that's coming up for Multicultural Children's Book Day.
Great. We look forward to having you at our Twitter party.
Oh, thanks so much, Mia.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Okay.
And you were just listening to episode 12 of Nerdacity Podcast, featuring my guest, Mia Wenjen, who is an author, book blogger, literary promoter, and co-founder of Multicultural Children's Book Day. Visit multiculturalchildrensbookday.com. Find them on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. Also, Multicultural Children's Book Day is being celebrated on January 29th, very soon. So please check out their website and find out how you can support. Support this podcast by visiting anchor.fm/DuEwa Fraser. Also, tweet me and follow Nerdacity Podcast on Twitter at NerdacityPod1. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Nerdacity Podcast. Visit my author site at DuEwaWorld.com. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.